No one intervened.
Welcome to Jacqui Just Chatters. So you might be wondering, what is Jacqui chattering about? I didn't want to be stuck chattering about just one thing, so that's why I've called it Just Chatters. I wanted to keep this general, a little loose. I want to be able to talk about different things that interest me, what's going on in my world, little nuggets I find, and share these things with you. I don't want to get too much into the details of it. I think we'll find out more of that kind of as we go along from episode to episode. I don't think there's really going to be any rhyme or reason. Um, they're going to kind of be a little bit scattered, but that's appropriate. My brain's a little bit scattered. I kind of feel the same way when I would introduce myself to my students at the beginning of the school year. I kept it pretty basic. I didn't want to give too much away. You got to have a little bit of little mystery. You find it out kind of as you go along, as you get to know a person. I hope you will find my little chats entertaining and get a chance to have a little mini break from whatever you need a mini break from. Sometimes I need a break from my life, perhaps unwanted thoughts, people, just state of the things around you, whatever. And of course, I would love if you shared some of your thoughts below in the comment section. Of course, feel free to share my posts if you find any of these little nuggets shareable, by all means. Now, many of you already know me, but for those who do not, I guess I should do the basic introduction. I am Jacqui, which is short for Jacqueline, but that's my I'm in trouble name. That's the one my mom uses when I'm on the naughty list. I am, I suppose, now officially a middle-aged lady. I am from the greatest state in the Great Lakes region, Michigan. I love my state. That's going to come through pretty clear. You're going to hear me talk about it probably frequently. I can't help it. I'm very proud of my state. In my former life, I was a social studies teacher for about 20 years, and I enjoyed connecting with my students. That was a real joy, and I loved when I got to be a paid storyteller to them. I really loved throwing in bits of juicy scandal and strange bits of history and odds and ends. And I miss those parts. Those were the great parts. There are other things, you just don't miss. After some health issues, I left the industry, and now I have begun living my lifelong dream of actually becoming a writer. I'm at the beginning of this journey, so you're definitely going to hear me talk about that. I have recently finished the first draft of my first novel, which that was exciting. I will definitely talk about more of that in later episodes. I am also married to the kindest, most patient man on the planet, Kevin. I adore him, and he really is my friend, as well as my husband, and that's wonderful. And you'll probably hear me gush about him as well as the show goes on. Well, those are some of the basics about me, so that's kind of, I think, enough about that. You'll get more in future bits. I think it's probably about time to move on to the real topic of my first initial blog. It being December, big shocker. It's going to be the holidays. It's going to be Christmas, Yuletide, all that sort of thing. 'Tis the season and all that. And I thought it would be nice to chat about what makes the holidays the holidays. What, really brings it to life for you, what kind of just makes it happen, maybe some traditions that you have, all that sort of kind of thing. For me, kind of the taste of Christmas is jam thumbprint cookies. Oh yes. Oh yeah, the jam thumbprint cookies. My mother's mother would make these, and this was the only time of year she would make these, was at Christmas. And if I taste one of these, it's Christmas has exploded in my mouth. And not only is it that feeling of Christmas, but it's also incredibly yummy. If you don't know, a jam thumbprint cookie is like a shortbread cookie base, which gets then rolled in pecan pieces, and then halfway through the bake, you press down with a spoon, and then you put strawberry jam on top. And yeah, kind of to be traditional, it needs to be strawberry jam. Though I have experimented with other ones, and they're okay, but it's strawberry. That's my jam. Forgive the pun. Though I do know why my grandma only baked these once a year. They're kind of a pain. There's so many steps. You have to make the dough. You've got to spoon it, roll it into little circle dough balls. Then you have to dunk those in egg, and then you have to roll them in the pecans. And you got to put them in the cookie sheet, and then you've got to put a spoon to make the little well, and then you got to cook it, and then you got to take them out halfway through, and then you got to put the jam on, which the jam sounds like it's really, it never, like, it's like you either get a little bit of jam on the cookie or like way too much jam on the cookie, and it's this tussle with the jam of who has supremacy, and I usually feel like the jam wins that one. I don't get jam supremacy, but in the end it's all going to taste good. And that they taste like heaven. But a few years ago, I made a batch, and I went to Michael's and I got those pretty Victorian Christmas boxes, and I got the fancy little doilies, and I lined the boxes, and I gave the cookies in the boxes as a gift to my sister and my mother, so they also could have the joys of Christmas in their mouth. And that was pretty nice. So what are some things that taste to Christmas to you? What are your things? Like you're like, oh my God, I need this treat. Or, when you have it, it's like, oh, that's the holidays. And, put it in the comment section below. And if you've got copies of recipes that are tested, tried and true, oh my goodness, all means include those. If you got photos, add that as well. That would be fantastic. We would love that. Lately, I have been thinking about lost tradition, luminaries. The subdivision I grew up in, they would in December hand out to all the houses, you'd get one in your mailbox, the Christmas pack. And it would be a stack of white paper bags. So think those old lunch sacks, but white, and there would be enough tea lights to go with each sack. And the idea was that you would fill them with sand or something, and that you would line them along the edge of your yard near the street, and that everybody would have it, and they would line all the streets in the subdivision with these beautiful luminaries, and you would do this Christmas Eve. And part of the tradition was the grumble, to try to find something to put in the bottom of the sacks. If looking back now, I'm like, it just would have made sense to go to like Home Depot or something like that and buy like a bag of play sand and just reuse this thing year after year. But no, we never did. And it was the annual, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to use to weigh down the bags kind of fight. And that became part of the tradition. And then Christmas Eve we would go and we would put them out, and there was always the discussion of like, how windy was it, and could we fold the bags over to kind of help you had to worry about wind resistance. You didn't want the bag falling over. And sometimes we'd flip the bag, but then you're like, well, we don't want too much wind going in, but we need enough air to keep the candle lit. So, sometimes you'd have to close the bag together and tape it if it was really windy. I mean, there was so much talk about weather and discussion. I mean, like, you would think this was like D-Day level logistics that went into putting out like 6, 7 white paper bags and candles. but just we went every year through this tradition, and so we would put them out, and then it was one of these things that you sort of complained about it, but you kind of loved it too, and you kind of liked the complaining, I think. And then so Christmas Eve, after we had lit our luminaries, we would put on our jackets and go for a walk. And we would walk around the subdivision, and we would take one of those torch lighter things and try to help fix those that had kind of blown out, and there'd often be issues with, and so we'd be like, like the little candle fairies, go around and sort them out while we were walking. And there would be some nights where it would be snowing. Didn't happen all the time, but there would be a few nights where it actually snowed Christmas Eve. And there's this big long street in the subdivision, and like we would go and we'd fix the lights that needed to be fixed. And when you get to the end, you'd look back. And I remember snowing one night, and it was just beautiful. You'd have these luminaries, just these candle lights lining the street, and the snow fall. It was like living in a fairy tale, little snow globe. I mean, it was magical. It really was. And you were in a postcard. It was fantastic. And I forget how many years ago the subdivision finally decided to stop doing the tradition. My parents still live there, and I get it. I understand it. We did the grumble, but I kind of miss it too. It really was a wonderful piece of my younger days, and I really like that tradition a lot. Next, we will talk about the tradition of Christmas cards. I love Christmas cards. I enjoy going out the day after Christmas and looking for sales on Christmas cards. I'm probably not the only one who enjoys doing that. For probably 2 decades now, I usually write a Christmas letter and insert that into my card. And my Christmas card list has gotten up to about 60 families. I've had to put a cap. Like 60 is just about the max that I can handle. Though this year I had ankle surgery, and I've had just a difficult time getting around, and it's just not been the best autumn and winter. And so I decided to give myself a break, and I'm not getting them out this year. I think people will understand that, sometimes you just can't. It's not the first time I've not been able to get them out, but that's okay. I'm very old school in that, and I do like sending them, and I love getting the Christmas letters that people do send, and cards and that sort of thing. So, I'm getting down to about like a good handful or so nowadays. Like they definitely are a dying art that, I wonder in 10 years, am I going to be like the only one who's sending out a Christmas card anymore? This year, I got my very first Hanukkah card. That was really exciting. I couldn't believe how excited I was to get a Hanukkah card. It just delighted me. I was just full of joy. I think because it was so unique, I'd never been included in that celebration before. And that really just made me so happy. And it got me thinking about trying to send cards for uh, non-traditional holidays that myself or other people haven't gotten cards for, or maybe don't send cards for. Because thanks to things, Costco and Shutterfly and all these you can make cards for just like anything anymore. And I'm like, maybe I should like make cards for the more kind of obscure or not normal holidays, and send those out to people, because I think they would find that so enjoyable, because I couldn't believe what a kick that gave me. And I would just love to spread that joy to other people. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's just me. Maybe other people are like, I don't really care that I got a card for this strange, weird holiday. It's just not my thing. And I don't know. You can tell me what you guys think down at the bottom. Is that something you think that would be neat? Am I silly? Am I ridiculous? One year, a few years ago, Christmas cards weren't happening. This is not my first ankle surgery, and so I decided in March to send out St. Patrick's cards. I wrote a letter, I got a whole bunch of St. Patrick's cards, and I sent them out as if it was Christmas, but for St. Patrick's. And I thought that was a lot of fun. So I'm thinking maybe this year I'll do that again. I think that's a good place to end this first Jacqui Just Chatters blog post on. I would love to hear your traditions. So please share with me your traditions. Is there a lost one that you've been thinking about, or a new one that maybe you've started recently, or maybe this year? This year, maybe you're starting a brand new tradition, and I would love to hear about it. Please share it with me. Thank you for those that have listened, for giving me your time. That is such a great gift. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was entertaining for you. Please take care of yourself, and I hope that you will come back for more later. Bye.